So I just got off trail with Chewbacca here, doing the AZT together, and quite impressed with his dialed in gear. He's gonna show us what he's got in that pack right now.
Okay. All right, guys, we'll go off the outside of the pack first. This is a sheet of Tyvek out here with all the thorns and cactus and cacti and stuff. It's good to have something on the ground, especially with the stones. And then the first thing I think we'll do the foam pad. This is a Nemo switchback. I think this is the 6-footer. And you see how smushed down it is. It's pretty rough terrain out here. You can wear one of those out pretty quick, especially if you're a big dude like me. The pack itself is a light AF. It's a 35-liter curve is what it's called. It's a frameless. And I do have an add-on belt, and then I got a couple pockets that are Z-Packs pockets that I had on a previous pack that I threw on here because I like stuff on a hip belt. You can run it without it, but it's cool. It helps me a lot. Put my snacks and stuff in there. Water bottles. Usually out here in the desert, I'm carrying 4 Smart Water or Life Water, whatever. Up to 4 liters of carry, and then usually I have a 750 milliliter up in a front pocket here. These are those mesh pockets. So I usually have a bottle in one and my phone and earbuds in the other. And then we'll get into the water filtration in a second. Actually, we'll do that right now. So this is my water bag. I've got a knock bag, 2-liter bag, and a Sawyer squeeze, not the mini. Go with the regular squeeze because the mini sucks. But with the 2-liter bag, you can get water out of places that you can't get with a Sawyer bag or anything like that. So, or a bottle a lot of times because this has the wide mouth. And then be sure to back flush when you're in town. Now, because we're in Arizona and we're drinking out of places like cow tanks and the Gila River, we've got drops that we have to use too. And then a Sawyer bag to put it all in. Glasses, because you need sunglasses during the day. And like I'm inside right now, so I'm using these glasses. But I found out the hard way that it's best just to take the extra ounces for a hard case. Because I scratched the lenses on these on day 2. Because I was carrying them in a little microfiber bag, and that didn't work for very well at all. So I keep that on the outside in case, at the end of the day, it's easier to switch over. Poop kit, gallon Ziploc bag. Got a Deuce of Spades trowel in there, some TP, some hand sanitizer, and some wet wipes. So one of the more important things you need out there. Arizona, carrying sunscreen. I switched over to the spray kind. I had the little baby tubes that you put on just to save weight, but honestly, it's so much easier to use this stuff, and this bottle is kind of getting towards empty anyway, so it's not too heavy anyway. For my tent, which we'll be getting into in a second, I have an extender pole and stakes in a bag, which I'll show you the tent here as soon as we open the bag, but those work with it. Part of my cook kit, which these are usually on the inside, but I just had them out for now. Talenti jar and titanium long-handled spoon. I go with a spoon, not the Sport, because the Sport can't get to the bottom of stuff. If I'm using an actual stove, which we ditched our stoves here because it got hot out and there's no need for it, but if I'm using a stove and using the meals, you can't get everything at the bottom of the Sport. That's why I prefer the spoon. And then the mirrored bowl, because it just gets cleaner, easier that way. So we'll put those there. I think that's everything on the outside. So now we'll go ahead and get into the inside of it. Start off with the tent we were talking about earlier. This is a Z-Pax Altaplex tent. It's like the Soloplex, but taller. That's why you need the extension rod. Z-Pax sells one, but I made one out of a broken trekking pole, and it works just as good, and it's a little bit lighter. So, problem with the Arizona Trail is you don't really use a tent a whole lot. I can't remember the last time I used it, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. Most of the time we cowboy camp. It's quicker and easier at the end of a day, and a lot of times the ground's not suitable for trying to put a tent in. Got my puffy. Get this out. Enlightened Equipment, whatever their puffy is, and it's in the big boy size because I am a Wookiee, so I appreciate that they started doing a 3X, because if they didn't, the last puffy that I had was like twice the weight of that, so it's great. Toiletries bag, electronics bag. Okay, so first up we'll do the toiletries bag. Got some patches and repair stuff for tents. Got pole tips because I actually broke one while I was out here. Other than that, I carry usually 1 or 2 emergencies. It's nice to get a little vitamin C boost at the end of the day. Kind of keeps you from getting sick. Otherwise, some floss, standard stuff. Took some of that repair tape or tenacious tape and put it on the back of like a sticker label. So that works for blisters and stuff. And then pretty standard, lighter, etc. Electronics bag. Got the Nitecore NU 10,000, got a little PCT sticker on it. We got a little USB adapter and 2 very little cables. And then the lightest double brick that I could find. My wallet, Nitecore headlamp. This is the new one, and I like it because it's brighter, but doesn't last as long as the old one, but it's still really good. Little knife and a little logbook, which I found. I was on the Appalachian Trail in 2019 and never wrote anything down and forgot a lot of stuff. So this time I kind of was keeping track of my days, and then I had where resupply boxes and all that kind of stuff were going. So now we'll go back into the bag and start getting more stuff. I got one of these pump sacks for the air mattress. I know for an ultralighter, they're kind of, you laugh, but I'm telling you, at the end of the day, when you're out of wind, this thing is great. One of our buddies has the pump, and she likes it a lot, and I might even switch over to it for another 0.6 ounces. The pump also has a light on it, which I thought was kind of cool. We'll do the food bag. Now this was originally set up for the PCT, so followed some advice, did not take a bear bag and bear line and all that stuff. I was trying to save some weight. What I did was the heavy multi-use bags that you can get in California. You get 3 of them. You get one for your breakfast, one for your lunch and snacks and stuff, and one for your dinners. And then you can kind of keep everything organized and keep them in it. It worked really well. When I go back east, I'll have to go back to a bear bag. If I was in the Sierras, I'd be using a bear can. But out here, this seems to work really well. And it kind of keeps your stuff organized so you know what you have left and when you're ready for it. And it doesn't weigh much. These things all together probably still weigh less than the bear bag, the bear line, and the rock bag. If you're in an area that requires it, do it. But if you're not, this worked fine. I never had any issues. So knock on wood. I never saw, we saw 1 kangaroo mouse the entire time we were out here, but no other bugs, no critters, nothing wanted it. Okay, next up we'll go into like the clothing. Extra pair of socks. So I carried 2 pairs of socks. Extra pair of undies. Carried 2 pairs of undies. A buff that also works as a pillowcase, that also works as a pre-screen for your water when you're drinking out of the Gila River. thermal top. So for sleeping in, and stocking cap. This is alpaca wool. It's from Appalachian Gear. It's awesome. It's very light. I also had some Mountain Hardware gloves to go with it. Left those behind in the hotel, and it got warm enough that I didn't need them, so I haven't replaced them. But I will at some point. They're really great, and they're super light. They're like less than 2 ounces for the pair. Sleeping bottoms to go with the tops. Those are merino wool, both of them, which is great, especially when you're in town and you're trying to get your normal clothes clean. You can wear these and they don't stink as bad. So, plus they keep you warm at night. The big one will go with the quilt. So I did have a nylon fume pack liner. It ruptured. It did pretty good for those. It went like about 300 miles before it gets kind of brittle and it breaks. So trash compactor bag, because no one sells nylon fume pack liners on the trail. That being said, I'll probably just hold on to this. It seems to be doing great. And if it rips, it's easy to replace. Okay, Z-Packs, 20 degree, solo quilt, long, wide, as big as I could get it, the Wookiee size I could get it. It's amazing. It's only 21 ounces. It works really good. It is a quilt, so if it gets windy, you want to pitch your feet into the wind so that it's not blowing the bag off of you. Instead, it's blowing the bag up to you. And a couple times I did connect like the middle one to make it a little more bag-like to hold on to it so I didn't lose the bag. I think the worst thing ever would be waking up in the middle of the night and your bag's gone. I've heard of it happening. Didn't want it to happen to me. Got it in orange because of my OCD. If I was ever in a survival situation and I needed to, flag down something overhead, the orange might help. Might not. Hopefully, never know. And then the last thing will be the sleeping pad. This is the Nemo Tensor, the orangish yellow one, and it's a regular wide. I didn't go with the long wide or the long regular. I went with the regular wide, so it's 6 foot and it's 25 inches wide. The wide's great because if my arms are down, they're not hitting the ground. I found that the 6 foot is fine because most of the time I'll do this until I'm pretty tired and then I'll side sleep anyway. So I start to curl up a little bit and this is plenty of space. Issues with the Nemo Tensor though, not its fault, my fault. I ripped it open on the foot box or on the foot part one time with some sticks, and then it blew a baffle and got flat because I was sleeping in a pretty rough spot that the Tyvek and foam pad and this pad still couldn't help. So if you're in the desert, take a repair kit, plan on maybe replacing one of these. It happens. I think that's it. That's everything in the pack. So that's my gear loadout. I'm not sure what the base weight is right now, but without the stove, without pants, which I started off on the PCT with, and a second shirt, it's still right around 10 pounds, maybe a little under. So it works really good out here. It lets you carry more water, which was the hardest part of getting rid of gear, was to make enough room or weight room to carry more water. Which out here, sometimes you get some pretty nasty water carries where, you're carrying 4 or 5 or 6 liters of water. So you need that extra weight, or you just haul it all.
So this is your desert setup right now, as you've said, and you're going to make some changes when you do the AT.
Yeah, I'm heading back to the AT here from here. I've got 900 miles of it to finish, and I'll probably do some change outs. I won't have as many water bottles. I'll probably cut that down to 1 liters in the 750. The Ultraplex I'll probably go over. I have a Duplex L, which is the Wookiee size of the Duplex. I'll probably go to that so that when it rains back east, it doesn't get me soaked and get my gear soaked in the tent. And you use the tent a lot more. So I'll go to that tent, which means I won't need this. I'll go back to the bear bag and bear line because you need that. I may or may not pick the stove back up. I might do that up north once it gets colder again, because warm meals at night and the morning are great when it's cold out. But the quilt's great. The pack, I think I'll stay with the frameless. I do have a framed one that's a 46 liter, but it weighs over a pound more. So I'll probably stick with this guy because I've been able to keep the base weight down enough. And then I'll probably get another pair of gloves when it gets cold out there.
You said the base weight was maybe 10 pounds here?
Maybe 10, it's probably like 9-ish, 9 something.
Well, that's
right
great.
Now
that's great. Okay.
in this setup.
Well, good. Well, thanks for this.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Oh, in the old AF and bath.
Mm-hmm.